Hello, today I'm going to be presenting key ideas around the topic of Australia's justice system and whether or not it treats people the same based on gender, age, social class, ethnicity, and/or race. For a start, I want to begin by briefly explaining the current justice system within Australia. There are a number of structured authorities that exist within the justice system that help maintain order as well as protect people and their property. There are three major aspects of the justice system, and these include the investigative procedures such as police work, adjudication, which involves the court system, and the prison and correctional facilities that are designed to punish perpetrators as well as deter future crimes or wrongdoings. There is a system of laws and rulings that protect people and properties through fines, imprisonment, and/or community service. Although it is a system that works for the most part, it doesn't mean it is without its flaws. And in this presentation, I aim to shed light on the justice system within Australia and how it targets some groups and demographics more than others. Within the justice system, there are areas that can leave behind different groups of people based on their cultures and/or races. There is an indication that many of the major crimes in the past 20 years, such as the September 11th attacks on the Twin Towers, have created concern about immigrants as terrorists and has centered immigrants as the main perpetrators of crime, even though there are no statistics to support this statement. According to a UK study, it found that immigrant minorities were in fact much more fearful of crime than non-immigrants. This suggests that there is a disconnect between public opinion and the actual statistics of who commit crime. There is also a major issue with non-white people being sentenced to higher prison sentences. In many states within Australia, the Indigenous population are heavily overrepresented in the prison populations as a result of discrimination and prejudice. With the justice system targeting some groups over others, it shows it is flawed and it has the ability to majorly impact on the lives of minority communities. There are many parts of the justice system that unfairly target certain groups of people, particularly the three-strike rules that exist for some crimes in Western Australia. Although designed to deter crime, it has a major impact on the Indigenous community. Burglary is one of the crimes that fall under the three-strike rule, and according to a study done in 2005, 80% of those prosecuted for burglary are Indigenous. Of those under 14, 100% are Indigenous. This overpopulation of Indigenous people in prisons, as well as those who receive fines and other punishment, directly impacts the rates of reoffending. The same study shows that Indigenous people are more likely to be placed in higher security prisons than non-Indigenous. The Australian Bureau of Statistics in 2012 concluded that although the Indigenous population accounts for just 2.5% of the Australian population, the number of prisoners who identified as Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander was 7,979, which is 27% of the prison population. With the Indigenous community making up such a high percentage in prisons, it begins to paint a picture on how police and courts unfairly treat those who are part of these communities. There is an interesting relationship between how much wealth a person has and the type of justice that is served when a crime is committed. A study done in 2014 indicates that poverty can have a very negative impact on children, which contributes to poor impulse control, low self-esteem, and reduced learning achievements, which are all conducive to harmful activities such as crime. Wealth can also be used to get out of criminal or civil charges. And although the courts do not look directly at someone's wealth to determine their sentence, it does enter indirectly in the form of the strength of the defense presented. The sense of elitism can make it difficult for poorer people to get true justice as they simply can't afford it. This is a common trend in many developed countries as lawyers appear to have become a luxury rather than an inherent right. Even recently, it has been found that people living in lower socioeconomic areas within Victoria are twice as likely to receive a fine due to COVID-19 restriction breaches. I believe that targeting of lower socioeconomic areas is due to the belief that they won't be able to or don't have the ability to challenge these fines. These are the areas of the justice system that need to be overall modified to prevent these discrepancies between wealth and justice. There is quite a large discrepancy between men and women in the justice system. For example, in 2007 to 2008, 63.3% of the male offenders sentenced in Australia's high courts received a custodial term in a correctional institution, compared with 46.7% of females. Women appear to have been treated more leniently than men within our court system. My belief is that many people didn't believe that women were capable of these kinds of crimes, and it has stuck in the minds of many that this is still the case. However, there has been an increase of female crime, with robbery rising from 6.9% of women's prisoners' crimes in 1995 to 11.9% in 2002. This appears to be quite a large problem with the sentencing or lack thereof of women in the justice system. However, stats have shown that women are now being sentenced for crimes that they would have likely been let off many years ago. Overall, there are many issues within the justice system in Australia, and many of those issues directly target and oppress minority groups. Without any change, the same issues will continue to be present. Thank you for listening.